injure itself. Our urban search and rescue team is here, and they're also being assisted by the USAR team from Orange County Fire Authority, and they have members on their crew who specialize in large animal rescue.
The fire department obviously responds to human, and we know also animals. You respond to both. I'm sure this is most likely the first time you've seen a horse in a dumpster.
This is the first time I think any of us have ever found a horse in a dumpster, yeah.
Okay, can you describe the stables? Stu had mentioned that this isn't in the equestrian area, but rather a smaller stable. Can you describe where this is?
Yeah, roughly we're at the intersection of Golden West and Ellis, obviously in our city.
No, we're not.
And we have several small stables that back up to our Central Park area.
Okay.
And it looks like those dumpsters are either near either a cement pad or a roofing or something. It looks like the horse could have maybe even just walked himself in there and accidentally, fallen into the dumpster.
Yeah, Juan's on it.
Yeah, at this point, we're not real sure exactly how the horse got in, but like I said, our urban search and rescue teams are formulating a plan right now.
Yes.
And our big thing is we just want to make sure that the horse doesn't injure itself or anybody else while we get ready to start attempting the extrication of the horse from the dumpster.
All right, well, we're going to keep monitoring this. Battalion Chief Eric McCoy, thank you. I want to go back up to Stu Mundel. Stu, I heard you talking while I was talking. I guess, are we piecing this slowly together?
Well, I was just going to say, I didn't know that you guys could hear me. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, you are totally right, Juan. Those dumpsters are actually up against something that's higher. You can see that one firefighter standing right there. And those folks that are like up against that looks like an old washing machine or something, they're actually higher up, they're elevated. So that's probably how that horse got in there. Somehow maybe might have walked around that corner, saw that that dumpster that was closed, thought, hey, maybe I can stand on that. Obviously not. And he put himself inside that dumpster. I can tell you right now, Sky 9 has actually moved a little off. We are animal friendly, as probably a lot of folks are. Some of the people on the ground were saying that our helicopter was making too much noise, which I find is hard to believe. But anyway, we moved back a distance. That's one of the reasons why the shot seems to be a little farther away. You're right. The veterinarian is down there, large animal veterinarian, probably trying to calm it. I don't know if the chief is still there, but I really wanted to know what their plans are. At first they were talking about hoisting it out. Now they're talking about doing something else. But if they start doing some cutting on that heavy metal that dumpster's made out of, anybody that's ever moved or has been around those things are super solid. It's going to really scare that horse. Now the fire department, they've got plenty of cutting tools. We've seen them use them on many types of rescues. They actually have the ability. There's no doubt about it. But it's all that noise and those sparks that'll start flying and things like that might really spook that animal. So perhaps they're waiting for the whatever they gave the horse to take effect. But right now, they've kind of slowed down a little bit. You can see a number of firefighters out here. They are taking this very serious. They actually have their Orange County Heavy Rescue out here, and that brought a lot of equipment. And then, of course, you've got all the other fire department apparatus that are actually closer to the stable. Now, manpower, they're good. Tools, they're probably good. I'm guessing right now they're going to have to wait just for the whatever they gave that horse to start taking effect, and maybe that horse start to get a little sleepy or pass out. But then there's always that thought, how are they going to hold that? I don't know, but I'm guessing horses are pretty heavy. So they're going to have to find a way to stabilize that horse and then start cutting on that dumpster without freaking that horse out.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of dead weight if that horse were to fall asleep there. Now, the chief did tell us, Stu, that they we're thinking of hoisting the animal up, but then we saw right there, look, it looks like they've just taken the lid off of the dumpster, and we have seen one of the firefighters there with those cutting tools. So it looks like they're going to try to get that, but these dumpsters are pretty solid, as you mentioned. It's not like they have a back door like some construction dumpsters. This is something that's a pretty solid thing. Look, now they're putting something else on, maybe to cover the horse's
eyes or something. It looks like a tarp or something. It looks like a tarp to cover his body or her body. But I can't even imagine that poor animal suddenly getting in that predicament. I'm thinking that they'll probably end up hoisting the animal out.
Maybe they're putting this underneath the animal now,
Because
Yep.
How would he get over that metal part of the box, you know?
Well,
That'd be interesting
they know,
to
I
see.
know just from what I've been hearing them talk about, Yeah, they've been talking about, they said, do not bring the truck in. They were clear about that, so they're not bringing the fire truck close to the animal right now. They did say bring the harness. Now, fire departments, LA City Fire, Orange County apparently as well, they have specialized harnesses for this type of situation. We've seen them airlift the animals out of ravines and things like that in the past. So that's that harness that they're using. You can see them, they are placing that around the animal right there. So, but what the next step is, they're not giving it away as of yet. So we're listening. We're trying to figure it out as well. We're going to watch and see what happens. One of the ground crews was talking about it's right next to a trail. There is a trail right there, and I'm going to kind of get a little bit wider. I don't think we're going to miss much. I don't know if they could get a fire truck right up into that trail. It does get out onto Golden West, but if they're going to use a hoist, like something to lift that thing up with, I got to wonder what they're going to use. Are they going to bring a truck in? Is it going to be the ladder? And then if it's the ladder, that horse weighs a lot. And that's, those ladders are very, go ahead.
Stu, what about a helicopter?
They talked about that. That was the original call. That's what actually got us out here. They were talking about using a helicopter to come and airlift this horse out of the animal out of the dumpster, but apparently they said no, and they're coming up with another plan. And I wonder what that plan is. We can only just watch right now.
Yeah, well, playing armchair detectives, Stu, I think we figured out the bolt cutters were being used to cut away the lid of this dumpster, and now they are putting on the harness on the horse, and the folks that are by the horse's head are trying to keep it calm and keep the head steady while the firefighters work on that. There sure is a lot of manpower there. I mean, you would think maybe they would, group up together and maybe lift the horse out. But I mean, that's a lot of weight as well to deal with.
That's a lot of weight.
Weighs about 1,000 pounds. No, I would say maybe 1,000 pounds.
I haven't weighed one lately.
I haven't either. So, I mean, it's going to take a lot of manpower.
My dog.
Yeah, me too. My 85-pound dog goes on the luggage cart. This is truly going to be a task for them, and interesting because the chief said he's never encountered this before, experienced this kind of call before.
And even though they haven't, Stu, look at them. They've been moving so quickly. They're getting the harness on the horse. They're not wasting any time.
No, they're not. And quickly and calmly. You have to understand that as well. I'm sure that horse is he's an animal just like all of us in a way, and he can sense what's going on. And I'm sure whatever they gave, the veterinarians gave him, the firefighters also probably very calming and moving slowly to keep that animal as calm and stable as they can. I'm reading some of the comments on the internet. We're doing the feed out here. The folks have some interesting comments. Somebody was saying earlier on about somebody threw away a perfectly good horse. And they're making jokes. The horse is in okay shape. Let's just be clear about that. Apparently, as we understand it, doesn't have any broken bones or anything like that. It's just in a spot where they cannot get it out of that dumpster, or that horse can't get himself out of the dumpster. So right now, the fire department here is trying to rig up something. Some good folks are telling us right now that a horse on the average weighs anywhere from 840 pounds to 2,200 pounds. So we're talking well over 1,000-pound horse right there. How they're going to lift it, though, that is really what I'm still very curious to see. I'm guessing they're going to have to use some sort of truck, but and again, I'm the guy in the helicopter, not the firefighter on the ground.
Yeah, there's, as you can see, a number of firefighters securing the horse in place. Hopefully the sedatives are working well.
So far, the horse looks calm, and hopefully the folks around him are calm as well, because the horse can pick up on that energy as well, right? So the horse looks like it's doing well. On the right side of your screen there, you see we finally have a ground crew out there bringing us these live pictures, and hopefully all this will unfold within the next few minutes or so we can bring it to you live. But for right now, it seems like this horse, it was out there at these stables, may have just accidentally walked into this dumpster. The dumpster is right next to an elevated walkway, or an elevated walk around that stable that you see on that shot on the back side, on the right side of your screen there. So most likely that's what's happened. When Sharon and I first heard about this, we were thinking, is it a prank? This is just terrible that something like this happened. But it looks like it may have just been a simple accident. Those dumpsters are all backed up right next to that platform there.
Yeah, and it's probably for convenience. I'm sure the reason you can see that they open towards that elevated spot that you're talking about, Juan. Yeah. So probably there for convenience. I'm guessing it's going to be some sort of manure, and they probably use the wheelbarrows and they just roll them up and dump them into there. But right now, that horse somehow, I'm hoping, was on its own, kind of just wandered over here.
You know the sedatives are taking effect because he's kind of rested his head on that veterinarian's shoulder.
And you're starting to see some teeth there too, so I think he's starting to doze off a little bit.
Yeah. Oh.
So hopefully we'll see how they get him out of here shortly. Though I'm just very curious to see if they if they bring in a truck, or maybe they have some sort of A-frame or something that they'll set up and try to lift him out and maybe get the dumpster out from underneath him. But you can see that it's clearly a harness, and they have that they're strapping it up, making sure it's nice and secure, because that's the one thing too. And probably where they have to put it, they got to keep it in a way so when they lift him, he's balanced. He doesn't flop forward or doesn't flop backwards. So that's probably part of the task right there as well. It just makes you think. Also, these firefighters, they train for so many different things. I wonder if they actually train for doing horse rescues. They have specialized equipment, so it would be interesting to find out.
They must, because you said that they do a lot of where they do some ravine rescues and trail rescues. So I'm sure it's part of their training, but
Stu,
I'm sure it's not often.
Yeah, could a ladder truck actually lift a horse? I mean, we know a ladder truck is used for a lot of things, but could it handle that much weight? A firefighter's ladder truck?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I mean, if you really think about it, 1,000 pounds is a lot of weight, but those ladders are very, very sturdy, and we've watched them lift things with those ladder trucks before, using them like as a crane, basically. But if it's 1,000 pounds, that's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
So you can see them; they're setting it up. The harness definitely in place. The horse seems to, like you said, start to be very relaxed. I don't know if we actually can move a little bit closer, but again, we don't want to disturb the animal. We don't want to make the situation any worse for the people on the ground. But we definitely want to watch. We want to see how this happens and how they actually get that horse out of that dumpster out here in the Huntington Beach area.
Stu, do you see any ladder trucks or any type of equipment nearby that may be used for this? Maybe getting ready or moving around or even parked?
No, and we heard the fire department clearly say to one of the trucks earlier on, don't drive in. They said, do not come over here. There is a ladder truck. The firefighters, that's how they get to these situations. So you can see one of the ladder trucks right there. That's the only one we see. The heavy rescue is out onto the road. Their heavy rescue is a little bit different than what we would have up in Los Angeles. Ours looks like a giant tow truck. That's their version of it. So there is no boom. There's another truck right there. So perhaps this is the plan. Maybe they just haven't brought it into place as of yet.
Stu, Michelle Julie just got on the scene. Maybe she can tell us more about that. Michelle, what do you make of this?
Hi, you guys. We are standing on this trail here right next to the horse. I'm just probably 6 feet away, and you can see that he's becoming very, very sleepy now.
Yes.
I believe that the blonde who the horse has been kind of resting his head on her shoulder, that she is the owner of this horse. We haven't been able to talk to anybody inside here yet to find out exactly how this happened. But you can see, and as Stu's been showing you, they've been strapping this harness on the horse. As I understand it from the Huntington Beach Fire Department, the plan is there's a forklift here at these stables, and they're going to use that forklift to hoist the horse out of the dumpster. So there's at least a dozen firefighters here. These are guys trained in technical rescue and that kind of thing. and they have put this big harness around the horse's body, around its belly. You can see the green straps there, and according to the public information officer, Eric McCoy, the plan is to bring in this forklift and then hoist it out of the dumpster that way. So he really seems very, very calm, sleepy. You can see the eyes are pretty much closed on this horse right now. They continue. The people who know this horse are right there talking to it and petting him, and he seems to be doing okay. So we're waiting and watching like all of you. There are a lot of people here associated with the stable who are watching this operation, of course, concerned and worried, but the horse does seem to be doing fine, and we'll just keep an eye on it.
Yeah, Michelle, have you heard any word as to how that horse got into the dumpster in the first place?
We haven't.
Okay.
Eric? Can we ask you a couple of questions? Eric McCoy is here with the Huntington Beach Fire Department. I know that you had him on the air a short time ago, and we're going to see he's climbing down now to try and give us a little bit more information. Eric, what have you been able to glean from this situation? How did the horse end up here?
We don't know how the horse ended up in the dumpster yet at this point.
That's how they're going to do it.
But as you can see, our urban search and rescue team and the urban search and rescue team from the Orange County Fire Authority, like I said, and they have personnel who are specialized in large animal rescue. They've put the harness on the horse at this time, and then we're bringing in a forklift that's already on site, and it looks like that's how we're going to lift the horse out of the dumpster. There's also a large animal veterinarian here who's caring for the horse to make sure the horse doesn't hurt himself or any of the rescuers.
Okay, and the horse seems to be very calm and sleepy. It was given some sort of medication to kind of relax it?
Yes, the veterinarian who was here, she gave him some sort of medication just to calm it down, because as you can imagine, this is probably very stressful for the horse.
Okay, so describe what's going to happen. We see the forklift coming in, your firefighters and this technical rescue group, they're guiding the forklift in that's driven by someone here at the center.
Correct, yeah, it's being driven by one of the maintenance workers here at the center, obviously being directed by the captain on the urban search and rescue team. And then once they get all the connections made, we're going to try to lift the horse out of the dumpster here in just a few minutes.
So what are the concerns, if any, as you lift it out?
Obviously, our number one concern is for the safety of the horse and our rescuers, to try to keep the horse calm and make sure, like I said, that it doesn't hurt itself or any of the rescuers here on scene.
And that hoist, I mean, the horse weighs how much?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure how much the horse weighs right now.
Okay, and so you've put, what is that strap normally used for? Is that here on site that they use when they need to transfer animals?
No, that tarp was provided by the Orange County Fire Authority. They have equipment, like I said, for large animal rescue. And so as soon as we got here, we figured out what was going on with this call. We made that request to get this heavy rescue team from Orange County Fire Authority out to assist.
Okay, so you guys are watching this live as we are. You see the owner, who I believe is the woman there in the blonde, petting the horse and keeping it calm, and a few other people here from the stables, and it looks like they are getting ready to lift it now. The firefighters talking with this maintenance person who's bringing that forklift closer and closer to the dumpster.
It's interesting how they're doing this, but
I have to say it's been very fascinating to watch, because they very quickly got into place. They knew exactly what they were doing. They figured out how they were going to get this horse out. We have this horse inside a very large dumpster. You have a large audience now watching. Look at this little girl with the horse t-shirt, so you know she's an animal lover as well. She wants to see this all end well, and I think it is going to. The professionalism there of the Huntington Beach Fire Department and all the rescue crews out there. They were, the battalion chief was telling us that urban search and rescue is also out there. These are folks that are trained in specialty rescues, and this is as special as it gets this afternoon there in Orange County, as they're trying to get this horse who most likely accidentally fell into this dumpster from an upper level.
And you see the firefighter in the middle of your screen there. There you go. They're trying to connect this hoist to that forklift, making sure it's secure, making sure the horse is safe and calm. As we saw, the the horse looks very sedated indeed. We see Michelle Julie at the top of this screen there, trying to see exactly what's going on.
Yep, she's getting the story. That's
she
for sure.
is getting the story, working hard there. But there you go. They're sliding not the cables, but the
straps,
harnesses,
the straps of the harness that is going to lift this horse up.
Against the forklift,
yep.
yeah.
So we don't know the age of the horse, but he looks like he's in pretty good health. Obviously, a well taken care of horse, as we've seen. Its owner most likely is there with the horse, holding its head, keeping it calm. And I have to say, we haven't seen it buck once, we haven't seen it move once, or even before the sedation, hit. This horse has been very well behaved. And look at all those different straps and pulleys that are now being joined together to that forklift that are going to lift the horse up from the dumpster. So obviously the journey is not a long one, but when you're looking at an animal this size in such a small space, obviously everything needs to be done with the utmost of care, very gingerly lift the horse up out from the dumpster, of course, and get him back onto stable ground there. So
I'm pretty amazed that a forklift can hold anywhere from 845 to 1,200 pounds, because that's what I believe Chief McCoy was saying. That normal weight of horse is about that, way up to about 1,200 pounds. So.
And you look at it, the forklift is not very big either, so it must be definitely, we know this picks up pallets, we know it picks up heavy equipment. They use it in warehouses, so it can definitely pick up a massive amount of weight, but we're going to see it now pick up a live animal from a precarious situation there. Right now, the firefighters are there, the veterinarian is there. They're making sure that this horse is okay, and it looks like the horse is doing just fine. And in just a few minutes or so, or even less, we will hopefully see this horse be hoisted up outside this dumpster and back onto stable ground.
You're communicating with the forklift operator, I believe.
And I think this is the guy right there on the right side of your screen who's going to give the order to start the very slow ascent from the dumpster. So we may be seeing this in just a minute or so. Michelle, are you still there?
I am. I'm just kind of sneaking around here on the trail. You can probably see me from the helicopter, trying to understand how this might have happened. There, you see the little roof here, and there is a stable here. Interestingly, there's a horse inside of this stable, absolutely oblivious to what's going on here, very close to the dumpster. They've started the engine now. Of the forklift here, and they've asked people to kind of get out of the way because they just don't know. Here we go. Here comes the hoisting.
Here you go.
All right, let's watch and listen as this unfolds.
Horse remains calm. The owner has moved out of the way so that the firefighters can do their job.
But as you see there, it looks like those are the veterinarians with the blue gloves on. They're going to stand by the horse just to make sure. He has been given some sort of medication just to relax him a little bit, but they're probably now figuring out they've raised the hoist enough where they're just going to recheck to make sure that the straps are all in place, that the horse won't get injured when the straps go up.
He's sleepy because you can see it in his eyes.
Yeah, you can see it in his eyes.
He is really sleepy.
Gotta say, this is a very good horse, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very good horse indeed. Delicate operation going on here.
And here we go once again.
The hoisting begins.
They just said feet are off the ground.
Okay.
Feet are off the ground.
Okay.
Okay, it's okay. Perhaps the horse doesn't feel as safe as it did before, because even though it was in a small enclosure, it felt protected, but now it's being lifted off the ground. His feet are off the ground. But look at that, even the firefighters.
And the veterinarian there giving another dose of that medication as the horse seemed to wriggle its head around a little bit. So they're giving more meds.
Yeah, it looks like it's an IV that they're using. Makes sense, because a horse that big, it would take a while for pills or medication to kick in. So right into the main line there. And here we go. We are watching this live right here on KCAL 9, also on our Facebook page there, CBS LA. So here we go. We're just a few more minutes away from seeing this horse back on stable ground. A horse who accidentally fell into, it looks like, a dumpster in the Orange County area and that triggered a massive rescue right there.
They're also securing his legs.
Yeah, maybe because of the drugs, right? They're
Or
afraid
they're afraid that he's going to flail.
Or that he might fall when they put him back on the ground. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
But look at that. Even the firefighters are petting the horse.
He's getting a lot of love right now, and he needs a lot of love because I'm sure
Here we go.
he's very disoriented. Okay, you can hear the forklift back up as it moves back.
There it goes. There it goes. This is a very slow operation, but we've seen it unfold here for the last 25 minutes or so. It's now 4:25. Our newscast started right before the 4 o'clock hour, so in just another second or so, this horse should be back on the ground, and I bet you we're going to hear a loud round of applause
I think so too.
for all these rescuers.
And a big relief for the owners. I can't imagine what the owners thinking or going through or feeling. That's
Look
her
at that.
baby.
All right, look at that, Sharon. 3, 2, 1.
go.
Right? Almost on the ground there.
Yeah.
Michelle, what do you see from your vantage point?
Well, they had each of the horses' legs tied with straps and harnesses in case. Okay, now the horse is bucking.
There you go.
Okay.
Up.
Yeah. There you go.
Horse is feeling a little bit nervous there, but they're calming it.
What a large animal, but still responds to humans' touch and commands. Well, the best part is the horse is out of the dumpster.
Sleepy.
Yeah.
Very groggy, I'm sure.
By tomorrow, he won't remember a thing,
no,
right?
he won't.
And now they're taking off the harness there, and its owner there helping the firefighters out. She's got a hold of the horse's neck there.
Yeah, Michelle, you were right. Definitely, I think that is the horse's owner, as you figured out there, just by the way she's reacting to the horse.
That's her baby.
That's
right a mother's,
there, right?
Mother's sense and feeling and nurturing.
Right. Some people have dogs, others have horses, right?
I know a lot of people have horses. This is the baby, but he or she is safe now, thank goodness, and we'll probably be munching on a lot of carrots in the next few days, and apples and whatnot.
And right now, look, the horse looks pretty good, and even though it's sedated, it's standing up on its own, right? Michelle, is the harness off?
Yes. Oops. Okay, hold on. We're trying to get the forklift going backwards here.
Yeah, don't scare the horse.
The horse is standing on its own, almost kind of frozen in place. One of the firefighters continues to pet it there to keep it calm. Again, it's out of it.
Oh,
okay,
there
now
you go.
It's being walked
they've decided
back
to get the horse out of the way before the forklift.
There's the applause.
I have to applaud as well. This is so good to see.
Big round of applause here and a lot of relief.
Yeah, indeed. I love this. I love seeing a happy ending.
A happy ending on a Friday after a wild week of weather. So
I know.
a lot of nice things to report for you.
Indeed. All right, we will be back in just a moment with more news.
We'll be right back.
Why just drive when you can be thrilled? See all offers at buyatoyota.com. We make it easy. Toyota, let's go places.
Riding your bike on a beautiful California day is a luxury we all love to enjoy. If you've been hit riding your bike, we know how to handle those specific cases and help you get back on the road. You can't control the accident, but with the proper guidance, you can control what happens next. Call us and we will handle the stressful phone calls from the insurance companies, file the monotonous paperwork, and help you bring your life back together.
With more than $300 million recovered over the last 20 years, Jacob